So, good afternoon, Jim here. Welcome back to another Gibbs adventure. And today I want to show you how I size beaver on the board, how I do the process, and how I board it. So, lots of times guys will put beavers on the board and they're not sure what size to use. There's 7 different sizes. There's 5 inches roughly between in size. And the way I do it is I fold the beaver in half lengthwise, grab it by the nose and by the rump. I pull it hard and I let it pull in. So this guy will go on the red line. He'll be tight, but he's kind of in between a large, medium, and a large. So I'm going to try to keep him to a large because you make more money on a large than you do a large medium. But we'll see how it goes. So once I have him kind of figured out on the pattern I'm going to use, I open them up, throw a handful of nails out there, get them, set up my tools I'm going to use, and I'm good to go. So generally speaking, I usually walk around my table, but for demonstration purposes I'm going to try to keep within the camera here. So the nose and the lips always come off, and they don't count in the measurement. It makes it dry faster if you take them off. I used to see a lot of beaver come in with the nose and the lips still on them. So the whiskers, the nose, the lips, they all come off. I try to do a beaver in a kind of a specific pattern. So they scrape the outside here. Okay, like I said, red line, but a little bit tight. You won't notice it's tight until you pull the other side. But I think we'll get away with it. There's a couple of tricks to it if you want to confirm your size. In this market, it's mostly a hatter beaver market, so size is more important than anything else. So what I try to do is get the maximum size out of it. See, that's how I know he's going to be tight, but he's very much doable on that ring. So I try to do a beaver in a very specific method. So I'm going to nail out the pattern first before I commit myself too hard to everything. So that if I think that it's not going to work on that size, I can adjust them back down. So nose and lips come off. You should have about an inch in front of the eyes on most size beaver. Then you'll know you got it right. The extra. So I'm just taking my scissors and trimming it up around the head here. Love my 2-inch box nails. Getting harder and harder to find. Has a nice smooth size like a common nail, but it has a large head so you don't get the deflection with your hammer and smash your thumbs. So I'm going to go down next. I'll be just kind of off camera a little bit, but I'm going to do the bottom end here. But I'll put enough nails in it so that I'm confident that the size is going to be there. So always a little bit of trimming here at the butt. Just the outer edge. Then I'll just kind of make sure I'll complete my pattern, pick up any extra grease if I got any. Remember I said it would be tight. Now, I could bring it in a little bit, but I'm not gonna. So I got enough nails in this beaver now that I know I can keep it on that size ring. So now, my next step is just to go around it and nail it. So I kind of fill in the blank. I don't tend to use a ton of nails. And the reason for that is you're after the pattern. You don't have to do it like it's a best handled beaver on every one. So you want to do a good job, but you want to do a job that's sufficient for the market that we're in right now. I would stack my beaver up against anybody's. When they're dry. So I have at least a solid inch in most cases between each nail. If I wanted to do a really fancy looking top lot best handled beaver, I could do a nail every half inch and he'd look really fancy, but he wouldn't give you any more money for it. Hence the reason I nail it where I do. You want to get the pattern, but you don't need to, as I say to people, I'm not roofing, just putting a beaver on the board. Just about got it here where I want it. Try to do it in steps so that I can get this beaver process as fast as possible. So, potentially 3 for the back legs and 1 spare nail. Not bad, eh? Oh, here's 2 hidden ones. So, next step is to clean up around the leg holes. Always trim a little bit, like 1/4 of an inch around each leg hole. Get it nice and clean. Take the ears off. The reason I take the ears off is there's a lot of gristle around the ears and it dries fast. There's no money paid for ears. If you're gonna put them on hoops, okay, I would leave them, but these beavers are gonna be going into the hatter trade, and what happens with them is they're cut into 1-inch strips. So by taking off the ears the way I do, it saves you a day in the drying process. Next I'm at here, I got it all nailed. I got my back legs trimmed up. My ears are gone. I'll give it a split down. The tool I'm using here is called a Zeph Flesher. Excellent tool for fleshing beaver. And you can sharpen them up. So often I sharpen up the edges on mine. So it's kind of a straight pull, not a sideways pull. Pick up anything you missed. Dock off 1/2 inch on each front leg. They'll lay flat. Look for any extra bit of fat anywhere. Trim it up. Kind of got it where I like it. Put my knives back in place, get my scraper off the table. Now it's always important to close up the leg holes, and I'll show you how I do that. I don't have to close the ear holes. The grader doesn't care about that. You can if you want to be really fancy, but it's a waste of time as far as I'm concerned. They do like to see the leg holes closed up, I'll tell you that. It's the only place I raise up the beavers. My beavers are put on the board dry for a purpose, for a reason. Now sometimes in the back legs I can use 2 nails, and sometimes I use 3 nails, depends on the size of the beaver. And I'll tell in a second here. No problem doing 2 in that one. Raise it up. I might have trimmed a bit more, I might leave. Might use 3. There we go. Done. And again, I just raise it up around the leg holes a little bit, and that's it. So beaver's done. 3 to 4 days to dry. After the second day, you wipe it down because there'll be a little bit of fat that comes up on it, and that's it. Beaver's done. So on my table, I can do 2 beavers at a time. So I could just flip it over. And I'm ready to do my next one. And the same process. I grab it by the nose, pull it, Okay, so that would be a medium-sized beaver. I can tell right away by how I pull it. Again, I open it up. Throw a handful of nails on it. Get my tools laid out. And I try to put my tools always in the same place so that I know where to reach for them. Kind of makes my life a little bit easier. If I start putting my tools all over the place, then I end up spending time looking for them. And there you have it. That's how I do my beaver. That's the process. Doesn't matter what size. I stick to the same process every time I do it. So hopefully you can pick up a couple of little tips and it'll help you putting up beaver. There's lots of different ways to do it. At the end result, what you're looking for is a marketable beaver that the trade will buy. And again, if you're when you're doing this, if you don't think the beaver is tight enough, you can adjust it, because I'll put 4 nails, then 8 nails, like 4 more, and by the time I have a dozen nails in it, I'm pretty confident on what size it's going to hit on the rim. My little trick here is just a juice container. Cut the top off and it allows you to use a lot less paper towels. And I just keep putting all my scrapings inside the can here. So, there you have it. How I board beaver. So just wanted to pass on a couple of tips. Just the layout and how you do it can save you a lot of time rather than running around looking for it. I have a little magnet on the edge of my table that I can stick my knives to, and I know where they are all the time, so I'm not looking around the skinning room for them, because I'm quite the messy guy all the time. I get stuff stacked all over the place, so by doing that it kind of helps me keep myself a little bit organized.